Hey, it's great to be up this morning with our staff. This is something we actually do every morning at 9:30. We meet as a staff and kind of go through every facet of our program. It's a pleasure for me to kind of introduce our guys, the three assistant coaches that are on here with me. David Carter comes to us from San Diego. He's been a head coach at Reno, Nevada. He's been a great player at Crenshaw, has played in our league at St. Mary's, and is also a coach at two different places in the WCC. So we're happy to have Coach Carter with us. Coach Allen comes to us from Wyoming, where he served as the head coach there for the last 4 years. Did a tremendous job at Wyoming, was a fantastic player at Kentucky, and we're very fortunate to have him being with us as we build this program. Coach G comes to us from UCLA, was there for a year as a director of basketball operations, kind of oversaw recruiting in terms of organizing that for the staff there. Was with Coach Cronin at Cincinnati for 6 years before that, and his last year there was on the road as an assistant coach at Cincinnati. So for me, I'm very fortunate to be able to assemble this caliber of talent, but more importantly, this caliber of people on my first staff at LMU. There may be a lot of things I don't get right, but I know I got this part right, and we got the right guys on the bus. And because of this group, there's going to be a lot of fruit that comes from it. So I'm really jacked up, really pumped up about that. That being said, I'll let each guy kind of talk about their background just a little bit before we go into a little detail. We'll start off with Coach Carter.
Good morning. Coach spoke a little bit about my background. Prior to being here, I was at University of San Diego for 2 seasons. Prior to that, I was at University of Georgia for 1 season. Then back in the league at St. Mary's, 2015, 2017, for 2 years. I spent most of my career at the University of Nevada. I was an assistant for 10 years and a head coach for 6 years. I grew up in Los Angeles with the Christian High School. Went to St. Mary's College, played this league, know this league very well, so I'm very excited to be here.
Coach Allen?
Yeah. Like Coach spoke, I was at Wyoming last year as the head coach, but had a 9-year tenure. Was there as a assistant for 5 years before being promoted within. But the business of basketball is kind of taking me from both coasts. My first opportunity was at Morehead State University in Kentucky, moved on from there, and was at VCU with Coach Grant there. Towson, which got me in that Richmond and VCU and Towson, that DMV area, Western Kentucky, before getting to Wyoming, again, where I spent the last 9 years. And played my ball at the University of Kentucky, 3 years under Rick Pitino. 1 year under Tubby Smith. Was fortunate enough to play on some really good basketball teams. Won a couple of national championships, but played in the national championship game 3 years in a row. So tremendous experience, but excited about getting out in California.
Coach G?
As Coach Johnson said, I spent the last year in Los Angeles at UCLA, so I'm very familiar with the area. I'm originally from New Jersey. I went to college at the University of Kansas. I was a student manager under Bill Self for 4 years. And after that, I was at University of Cincinnati with Coach Cronin for 6 seasons in various different roles, from video guy to assistant coach. And I spent the last year with him at UCLA, and very excited to continue to move up the coaching ranks in Los Angeles and be a part of a great program.
Awesome. Like I said, you guys are going to love these guys, and we're going to do some great things together, and I'm looking forward to it. We've already kind of, in a short time, have gotten a lot of work done. Yesterday was a big day for our program, being able to sign 3 really good players, 3 really good people, 3 really good students, bring them here to LMU to kick off our first class. The first guy that we actually got a commitment from was Mayum, who comes to us from Florida by way of Australia. I think people are going to love him. And he brings a lot of different things to our program in terms of his athleticism and his ceiling. The other kid that we signed, or the second guy to commit to us, was Cody Pugh from Stanford, a grad transfer, who's a tremendous athlete, tremendous student, will allow us to play the way we want to play. And then the third guy was Quinton Jackson, who played at Temple, sat out last year, finished his degree, or sat out this past season and finished his degree. So he'll be joining us as a grad transfer. But I'll let these guys kind of talk about each guy, starting with Mayum.
Well, I would say this, even when talking to Coach Johnson about this opportunity of joining him at LMU, and hearing his vision and the type of young men that he wanted to bring into the program. And, one of the things he talked about, was athleticism, getting bigger on the perimeter. And when you look at Mayum, I think Mayum is a high major athlete, a kid that can run for days, as we found out in the sense of him running miles, but extremely great at getting to the basket. Think he could be a really good lockdown defender as well. Good in ball screens, and an improved jump shot. And like Coach alluded to when talking about Mayum, I think his ceiling and his best basketball is ahead of him. So excited for the university, but also for the kid to come along with this program.
What about Cody, G?
So KP fits a lot of our needs we had this offseason. Coach Johnson wanted to get more athletic, more versatile, and older. KP comes from Stanford, where he played for a couple of years, was hurt this past season, on his way to a full recovery. He's versatile. He's athletic. He's long. He runs the floor very well. He gives you a lot of options defensively because he can guard multiple positions. You can do a lot of switching with him. He's a guy that can get the ball off a rebound and push it in transition and take it all the way. And as our coaching staff has agreed, as we got to know him, he brings a tremendous sense of maturity and leadership to our program that we're really excited about.
DC?
Quinton Jackson, we were talking about as a staff, trying to bring in guys that can play multiple positions. Quinton is 6'4", can play the 1 or the 2. He started his career off at the University of Charlotte, his freshman year. After that, he went to a junior college for a year. Then he went to Temple for 1 year. Like Coach said, he set out last year to get his degree. So he's coming in as a fifth-year transfer. And he's going to be a very exciting player because he can do things on both ends. He's a two-way player. He can score. He'll be able to defend multiple positions for us. He has a maturity level that I think is going to help our program. We always talked about getting older, being more mature. He brings that. He's hungry. He hasn't had the career that he wanted as he started after high school. And so we're very excited to have him. I know just speaking with him, you get the sense that he wants to prove a lot of people, and I should say people, he wants to prove to himself and to his family and everyone that he is a very good player that hadn't had a chance to play. And here he's going to have that chance. And I'm very excited to have him. Like I say, you guys are going to love him. He plays 2 or 3 positions for us, and he's very hungry to win.
Yeah, we can't wait to get these guys here on campus and to coach them. And I really feel like all 3 guys fit a need. They weren't guys that we wanted. These were pieces that we needed. But more importantly, they're not just talented dudes, but they're guys with high character, that have all the intangibles to help us become the team that we want. So that's exciting. The last piece of this class, obviously he's been here, but to get Matthias back was a big part of who we want to be and where we're going. And, he just continues to add to the talent. And there's not a lot of guys around the country that are 7'3", that can move like him and do some of the things that he does. And I was so proud of him, and proud of our staff and everybody. I mean, the administrators, everybody who helped us fight to get him back. It was a great team effort. And for me, it showed us what we could be. And especially if we do it together, what we could get done here at LMU. So very, very excited about that. I thought we'd go in and kind of just talk about a little bit why we're here, why guys chose to be here, get a little more in depth in terms of some of our experiences. Coach Carter, the question I would ask you, maybe tell everybody, why you decided to be a part of LMU. Why'd you make that decision?
There's 3 points. The first and foremost is Coach Johnson. His enthusiasm, his passion. When he called and talked to me about his vision for LMU, I just couldn't turn it down. I don't think if someone else got this job, I don't think I would have moved from San Diego up to Los Angeles. But first and foremost is because of Coach Johnson. And I believe in his vision. I believe in his passion to win and want to be have a winning program, and I want to be part of that and do something very special here at LMU. The second point is coming home. I have not had the opportunity to coach in Los Angeles. When I was a head coach and assistant coach at University of Nevada, we had several players from Southern California. Even when I was at St. Mary's, we recruited a young man from Southern California. I helped recruit a young man. So I'm excited about keeping kids here at home. I was very fortunate to have a few guys play for me at Nevada that turned out pretty good. Got drafted and went on, had great careers in the NBA. So I'm very excited about being home. I have a lot of friends or family here from my days of even playing here in high school. So that's the second reason. And third, I'm gonna date myself here a little bit. I actually played against Hank Gathers and Bo Kimball's teams.
Oh, wow.
And so I remember the energy, the electricity in the building when we came down here from St. Mary's and played them my last 2 years at St. Mary's, and how special it was. And I recall having my parents, they're here in Los Angeles, so I would come down, they couldn't even get a ticket to get in pretty much. We only get like 4 tickets. I'm like, I got a big family. And so, it was standing room only. And so I remember those days, and to have those days come back or have a chance to get it back to that, I'm very excited about that. I think it's a long time coming. I think this place is a very special place, and I'm just excited to get to work and be here.
Because we just need Bo Kimball and so we can spell it out.
Well, they were actually ahead of their time in terms of how they played. They were probably the first team that shot threes, shot quick at the shot clock. Their style was unique. They were really a headache for everyone in conference because of how fast they played. And we talk about playing fast. So you might have to get some VHS tapes to watch how fast they play, because and it's not going fast forward either when you see them. That's how fast they play.
Right. G, why don't you tell us, like you so far, what's been your favorite part of coaching?
My favorite part of coaching so far has been the relationships you get to build with the players, getting to see guys reach their goals and having a little part in helping them reach their goals, and becoming a confidant to them off the court, somebody that they can trust when they might be having some trouble academically, trouble at home. And because when you can build that trust, you have strong relationships off the court, it makes things on the court a lot easier.
Yeah, that's good. Let's make sure our guys aren't having any trouble academically. Coach Edwards, your background as a player, like what's some of your fondest moments? Is it Final Four? What have you taken from your playing experience?
You know what? It's funny you asked me that question, Coach, because I and even the guys that I've played with, we've always gotten that question. And, one would think that it was all about the national championships, cutting down the banners. Those are the obvious ones. You enjoy, being the last team standing. But the fondest memories is the brotherhood, the bonds, the things that you actually did off the floor, the battles that you went through to get ready to get in shape. The silliness of just being college students. We lived all in they called it the Wildcat Lodge. So we were always around each other, and we always moved in packs. Nobody was ever just by themselves. So, whether it was going to the movies, going to the bowling alley, going over to the union to eat, even guys walking to class, some of that stuff, you remember like it was yesterday. But the basketball piece, unless you kind of remember the game a little bit as you're watching it, but it's amazing how vivid the memories are about the little things that probably didn't have anything to do with the game of basketball, but the bonding of brotherhood, and brotherhood that still goes on to this day.
So you played on 3 teams that went to the Final Four.
Mm-hmm.
2 that won the championship.
Yep.
What would you say all 3 teams had in common in terms of winning?
Well, the belief that we were supposed to be in that moment and be in that time. And I say that because the group that we played with in 98, nobody thought, we should have been there, but we had already been through it in the sense of the experience from 96 and 97. But, I thought, whether it was Coach P in the 3 years that I played with him, but even Tubby coming in for my senior year and us still getting there, I think there was just a belief system, and we understood the type of work that needed to go into it for us to get back and put ourselves in that moment. And I thought also one of the biggest things was accountability, within teammates. I thought we did a good job of calling out guys when they wasn't doing what they were supposed to be doing. So it wasn't always the coaches holding guys accountable. I think, we as a team held each other accountable when we felt like someone was coming up short or was not giving the proper effort or not just carrying themselves the right way in our pursuit to go compete for a championship, because we had no other thought. Everything was about champion. It wasn't even about winning the SEC tournament. Like that was like a supposed to happen, but it was more about that last game, last man standing, and we wanted to be there with the one shining moment. That was one of the biggest things. We wanted to be there with our one finger pointed to the sky and connected in brotherhood.
That's good. For Coach Carter and for Coach G, Coach Carter, you can go first. What, in your experience, what's been your greatest coaching moment, or experience? It could be with a player, it could be a victory, it could be what, when you look back at all the stuff you've accomplished so far, been a part of, what stands out to you?
We don't have enough time to go through all of them, right? So I'm gonna pick one. I think the greatest moment was probably 2003, 2004 at the University of Nevada, going to the Sweet 16. Touching on what Coach Edwards talked about, the belief, about the brotherhood, about being connected. Prior to that, we were building a program, and we started in the Big West, and then we moved to the WAC, and people were doubting that we would ever win a championship. And it was called Reno at the time. Now it's called University of Nevada, and try and change the identity. And that season, we really came together, and it's a unique scenario when that happens. I think Coach Edwards just spoke on that. You think you can get that moment back all the time. That moment you think, oh, you know what? These guys will be together. Next year they're going to be together. The next year, that was such a unique team and a unique experience. And I can recall going through the season, but not looking at what was ahead or what was behind us. We always played in the moment. And holding each other accountable. I remember we lost a game to Boise, and our best player was Kurt Snyder. And Kurt, for some reason, wasn't playing up to his standard, had a bad attitude. And the coach was outside the locker room, and the players went in the locker room after the game, and they were in their first 5 minutes. And one player stood up, Gary Hill, and called him out. And from that moment on, Kurt was bought in, never had an attitude, and we won like 16 out of 18 games, went to the Sweet 16. And it was in my coaching career, it was really, I really saw what, if you're going to win a championship, you better be connected, you better be on the same page, and accountability has to come from within, and it's not always from the coaches. Because we tried that the first 4 years. Everything was coming from the coaches, but then once the accountability came within that team, and the team took ownership of themselves, of the team. And that was a very special year. And after that, like I say, you try to get that back, and you want every team to be that way, but it's such a fine line of winning. Everyone does the same thing. Everyone wants to win. Everyone says the same, cliches, or you have the same workouts. But if that team isn't connected, if they don't hold each other accountable, you won't have a special year, a special season. And 2003, 2004, we played in the moment. It was never outside the box. It was about what is coming on next. And we never looked ahead. And I think that's the reason why we were successful. And it was a very special year. And that's probably the highlight of my career.
That's awesome. What about you, G?
Well, I've been lucky, Coach. I've been able to tag along some good programs and some good coaches and have some great experiences. At Kansas, as a student manager, we got to go to the Final Four, lost to Coach Edwards' alma mater in the national championship game. At UCLA this year, we had a great run. We probably finished the season as the hottest team in the country. But one thing that really sticks out, a few years ago at Cincinnati, we beat Wichita State at Wichita State for the American Athletic Conference Championship on the last day of the regular season. And what I just remember about that day is, the odds being stacked against us. We had, at one point that season, we had a 44-game home winning streak, and Wichita State came in and beat us there. And they beat us a lot worse than the score indicated. And we were going into their place. It was senior day. It was for the championship. They had already beat us. I remember when we were walking back from warm-ups into the locker room, our guys could see, buckets of confetti, for if they won, that they were going to drop and celebrate. And we had great leadership on that team, guys like Gary Clark, who plays for the Orlando Magic, Jacob Evans, who plays for the Minnesota Timberwolves. And they really rallied everyone together that week leading up to the game, saying, hey, these guys aren't beating us again. This is our championship. And they went out and proved it in one of the toughest places to play in the country. And that celebration after the game, that was tremendous, seeing the hard work of all those kids paying off. And that was the first time when I was at Cincinnati that we had won one of those championships, and seeing the smiles and joy on everyone's face was that's why you want to get into coaching.
It's awesome. Why don't we wrap it up this way, and everybody can go around and just talk about what excites you the most about being a Lion. And we can start off with Coach Allen and Coach Carter, and then G.
Well, the thing that excites me, and I'm actually kind of like one of the recruits right now. I have not yet been on campus. So what I've heard—
You trusted us blindly.
But how beautiful it is, and obviously being in the city of LA. But what I do love about the scenario is, it's very reminiscent to me of my days at VCU, when, we only had basketball and we didn't have football. So you were kind of the big show. And obviously with winning and success and just the movement that can get behind this thing. And again, going back to the vision that Coach Johnson has, and kind of alluding to what Coach Carter said a little bit earlier about the reason for coming. And I'm a people guy. And I think one of the biggest things, I was obviously happy that Coach offered me the job, but one of the biggest reasons was the people at the end of the day. And then the more and more I've learned about LMU and getting to know these young men that are already on this team, coming back in the excitement level that they have and the work that they're what they're saying that they're willing to put in right now. You know, it's always a little bit easy to talk about it before you go through it.
Talking good.
but great young men, very receptive in us as a staff. So I'm excited. I'm excited for my family as well. And I'm excited to see LA.
DC?
Well, I talked about it a little bit earlier. Obviously, Coach Johnson being here, I'm excited about that. And we haven't been on campus, so I kind of want to see what Greg and Coach ever look like in person. You know, well, everybody taller than them, they shorter. How we gonna look? But no, I'm excited to get started. I think we have a really good, high character young man on the team. I've been to conference for last 2 years, and prior to that, 2 years prior to that in 2015-17. So I've seen the program. I'm excited about the challenge of getting a winning program. And as coaches, we all with players, it's competitive juices. You know, when you get a job and you're starting new, you know, you have people out there that said, let's see if they get it done. And as a competitor, that's what you look for. That's the challenge, and that's what excitement for us. For me, I'm excited to get fans excited to watch the product that's going to be on the floor. I think that's one of the things that I'm looking forward to, is having crowds and students there, people there, because of the style of play, because they're watching a product on the floor that they enjoy. And I'm excited to get that started.
G?
I'm excited because of the people. I really enjoyed getting to know our players so far, getting to know our coaching staff, our administration. Everybody seems really anxious and excited to get back to work and start building something great at LMU. I'm really lucky because I'm spoiled. I get to essentially learn from 3 head coaches every day. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm excited to work with our veterans and the guys that are coming in and building some strong relationships.
I love it. Well, hopefully everybody can see why, I'm excited about our team and our group and these guys that you just heard from. Like I said, we're expecting great things. And it's not just going to be talk. We're going to have to walk it, but we're committed to doing that. So we will see you guys the next time we do this. But thanks for hearing from us.